All right, guys, happy Monday, beginning of a new week. Our press and pull today, we've got 3 movements. We've got 15 dumbbell floor press, 10 plyometric push-ups, and then 15 banded face pulls. We're going to do those 3 movements every 3 minutes for 4 rounds. So you're going to work through. It's not necessarily quick between, but give yourself a little bit of time to rest. So let's go through each one. The dumbbell floor press. So starting on the floor. Okay, this can be a little tricky if the weight gets heavy. So generally you're going to get the weight on your thighs, and as you get to position, you're going to kind of jump them up into that overhead position. So from here, I jump them up overhead, okay? Feet flat on the floor. You're going to come down at the bottom position. We want to pause for a quick second and then explode back up. Okay, so we want to avoid that bouncing off the floor like that. It's good control on the way down, quick pause, speed on the way back up. Okay, so you're going to do 15 reps there. Again, if it's heavier, coming off the thighs when you sit up, you got to kind of jump them up. Okay, get a partner to help you if you feel uncomfortable with that. 15 reps. From there, we're going to go 10 plyo push-ups. Okay, so a plyometric push-up is just basically an explosive push-up. So for those that are just starting, you can think about a regular push-up as you explode up, just trying to get your hands off the floor. We still want to maintain a good line of action in our body. You can look at this also kind of like a clapping push-up is a classic way to do it, right? To get your hands off the ground and clap, you have to explode up. You can do the same thing on an incline. So if I had a bench or a box to make this a little bit easier, I could also do this on my knees if I want. Okay, if you do the knee push-ups, still try to keep a good line from your shoulder down to your knee. We don't want to have the hips up high, anything like that. The way to make this more challenging, I can bring in some plates. I can make the plates as high as I want, where I do a push-up with my hands in between the plate, and then I drive up. Hands on the plates is another cool way to make that more challenging, stacking the plates higher and higher. Last movement is 15 face pulls with a band. So for this, again, not for time, we want to set ourselves up, pull shoulder blades, pulling the scapulas back, squeezing the shoulder blades, and forward. Okay, good range of motion. You can change the tension based on the size of the band, how far away from the post you're standing. That's it. Let's talk about our conditioning. All right, guys, our conditioning today is a take on a classic CrossFit workout, Diane. So it's 21, 15, 9 are the reps. We're going to be doing deadlift, handstand push-up, but unlike Diane, we're going to work in bar facing burpees. So a lot of pressing. There's a 12-minute time cap on this, so you're meant to be able to move through it pretty quickly. The prescribed weight for the deadlift is a classic weight, 225 for guys, 155 for women. Again, something you're comfortable moving through. One way to scale workouts like this, particularly for things, maybe the handstand push-ups you can do, but with a 12-minute time cap and 45 total reps, you get kind of stuck. So you can scale the reps down, maybe something like 15, 12, 9 is another way that you can approach all or any of these reps for these movements. But the first thing, deadlift, when you set up at the bar, there might be 2 ways that you're going to do this depending how heavy and how fast you're going. So one is touch and go reps. You put your feet right under your hips, find your grip, squeeze your butt at the top, touch and go off the ground. This is going to be faster, okay? If the weight is lighter and you feel good, you can move through reps. Always focusing on that nice, tight, low back. We never want to round our back, okay? The other, a little bit, maybe not as fast, but easier on the low back, more strategic, is doing single reps. So you set up, it's heavy, you pull, and then drop the bar, and just set up, pull, okay? Doing single reps like that the entire time, okay? So those are kind of 2 ways to approach the weight. Again, always that good flat back position. From here, we're going to go to handstand push-ups. Lots of ways that we can approach handstand push-up. Remember, we're going to do some burpees. So what you do for the handstand push-ups, I think, should have something that's overhead. Okay, so for today's workout, regular push-ups, I wouldn't recommend for today, just for some variance. But if we go up against the wall, okay, this is designed as the kipping style handstand push-up. So you have a pad for your head, lower down, hips to the wall, big kick up, and lock out. Okay, again, something that you should be comfortable doing multiple reps. You can always add an abmat or raise this up to change the range of motion a little bit if you need. You can do some version of pike push-ups, so the head is between the arms, tap your head, drive back out. Or you can get a set of dumbbells and do seated dumbbell press, okay, for these handstand push-up or variation, all right? The last movement is going to be the bar facing burpee. So you come back to your bar. A bar facing burpee is perpendicular to the bar, all right? At the bottom, my chest and thighs are fully behind the bar. You can step forward or you can jump forward. No rules there, as long as when you jump over the bar, it's both feet at the same time. Turn around, come back to the floor, and jump over, okay? So again, the 12-minute time cap is the tough part here. So scale accordingly to try to finish, have fun with it, and we have a little finishing work at the end too. All right, guys, so our finishing work is just some classic core work. So we have, I'll go from easy to hard. We've got 200 abmat sit-ups. So the abmat, I always point out to people, is not the same on both sides. You want to take the thicker side, and that's what goes close up to your butt, okay? So you don't actually sit on the pad. It just goes up to your tailbone. The feet, we generally we put people in a bow tie or froggy position all the way down on the back side, hands touch, and sit up. Again, shoulder over the hip, you're actually sitting your whole body up. I tell people it's not just touching your feet. I can touch my feet and I haven't sat up the whole way. So try to get that full range of motion. It's okay to use your arms to swing a little bit, but that's the most reps. You got 200 reps. From there, next challenge up would be to do 100 V-ups. So for the V-ups, main thing I want you to focus on is your low back. So you don't want to be arching when you start the rep. You want to make sure that you're in that good hollow position, and from here you're going to snap up. Okay, never flopping to the ground. If you do that, you might feel a little kind of tugging or pain in your low back, just based on how your hips are snapping up. So focus on that. If that's hard for you, you can always do a tuck up of the same thing, okay? So that's 100 reps only. Then the hardest version, but the least reps, is the GHD sit up. I love to at least expose some people to this. 75 reps is a lot if you're not used to it, but still, if you've never used this, great midline strengthener and something that you should learn how to use eventually. So maybe do a set of 10 to 25 just to feel it and learn it if you want. So when you set this up, the first thing you want to make sure is the distance. This thing moves forward and back, so make sure that it's set up so that your butt is just on the downward slope here, okay? You don't want to be so that you're, this is further back. When you do this, a couple ways you can scale. So I'm hanging on my feet, and notice my knees are bent. As I come back, all right, I'm going to flex my quads as I sit up. So my knees are going to do this, bent on the way down, flex my quads, using these hip flexors to help me pull my body up. So if my hands are across my chest, this is going to be an easier position, okay? If I put my hands over my head, this will feel heavier on my abs. So ideally, the range of motion would be that I would touch both hands to the ground, but feel free to play with range of motion and where the hands go. Just really focus on making sure you use your quads to sit up as you go, okay? And remember, if you don't do these 75s a lot, don't say I didn't warn you. So that's your core work for today, finisher. See you guys tomorrow.